Cooper Flagg gets shut down for the rest of Summer League. LeBron James gets shut out of the Lakers' future plans. Jayson Tatum is actively recruiting Damian Lillard to the Boston Celtics. How should Jaylen Brown feel about that? All that and more today on Locked On NBA.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On NBA. Thanks so much for making us your first listen of the day. We are free. We are available wherever you get your podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. I'm Doug Branson, host of Locked On Hornets, and your Shot Clock Sherpa, guiding you through the NBA's biggest stories every day with the help of Locked On's local experts. And I have two of the best with me, as always, from the Locked On Bulls podcast. It's Haize. Haize.
You know what? I love overthinking basketball. That's what we do here every day. For the people that are overthinking Summer League, please find something better to do.
No, summer is for feelings. This is the time to overthink and to overfeel. It's the summer, baby. Preseason is for reason. Sitting in for Matt Moore, who is off this week, is the great Tony East of Locked On Pacers. Tony, how big is the hole in your heart left by Miles Turner, and how are you filling it?
The hole has a circumference of about 108.9 million, and he's gone, and it's goofy, and Jay Huff and Isaiah Jackson is the center rotation. Quite the shift in my life, but I am someone who loves to overreact to Summer League, so temporarily I have that heart filled by bothering Haize with my emotions.
Let's go. We're going to do that. We're going to get into our feelings a little bit later in the show about Summer League, about some of the news that we're hearing about veterans across the league, but first, the Mavericks are reportedly shutting down number one overall pick Cooper Flagg, so we won't be able to overreact to him anymore after only 2 Summer League games. Let's head out to Dallas to hear from Locked On Mavericks about the decision.
Cooper Flagg gets shut down, according to Mark Stein. We had heard this, that he was only going to play 2 games. I was excited that he got to play 2 games. And to me, there was many moments during both games where he looked like the best player on the court. And that's what you want from your number one pick. And yet it made me think, what's the point of even playing him 2 games? If it's only going to be 2 games, that's the question that I kind of got stuck with today, where I was like, wait a minute. I know that this is a thing. It was going to be a thing. It was said it was going to be a thing. And then I just thought, well, what's the point of even him playing the 2 games? Is 41 shots enough? It's a great number, but is that enough shots? Is 60 minutes against ball pressure when he was the lead ball handler at times? Is that enough to even help him grow? Is 2 games enough? Like, did we see enough of Cooper Flagg?
Okay, I love when the host of the local show asked the question for me. Tony, we're going to start with you. Was there a point to all of this? Did we see enough from Cooper Flagg to make any kind of determination about what his impact with Dallas will be in his rookie season?
Well, the non-Cooper Flagg point of this is that the NBA got to see Cooper Flagg play against Dylan Harper and Bronny James, which is a win for everybody involved. In terms of the actual basketball, they did what they said, right? I think they just noted that, but they came into Summer League saying, oh, yeah, we're going to try him at point guard. And everybody kind of did the head tilt at that. That kind of felt goofy because he's a 4, right? He's going to be playing the 4. Kyrie Irving's on the Mavs. But that happened, right? I was at both of his games. He was ball handling a lot. They flung it to him in transition to let him push. So I do think him getting 2 games to at least explore studio space of what's different about the NBA. And obviously he's had experience playing against this level of talent with Team USA is still something, right? He's with Mavs teammates. He's doing things he's never really done before on the stage. He's wearing Mavericks on his uniform. I do think that has some value, but if you're the Mavs, your season is about him, especially with Kyrie out for the year. Winning's not really their priority, and him getting hurt would be devastating. So I get what they're asking, because what was the point of even 2 games if you don't want him to get hurt at all? But the NBA got their money. Flagg got to get a little better, take a bunch of shots. Awesome second half against the Spurs. And now that's enough of the experience, I think.
You got Cooper Flagg after trading Luka Doncic to the Lakers. You have no right to question anything. Don't question anything. It's all enough. You got it. It's enough. I don't care if they played him 2 quarters in all of Summer League. You got enough. It's fine. But all jokes aside, I understand what Nick's asking there, but I think like, what are you really expecting out of Summer League? You're not doing a lot of development in Summer League. Summer League's a showcase. And you got to showcase that talent. So the NBA, the Mavs fans, and the people in attendance in Vegas got to see Cooper Flagg play basketball. That's the point of that. Now you get to focus on the things that are really mattering and things that are really important is getting him ready for the NBA season. I think he's going to get way more out of working with the trainers, with the Mavs and their development staff than working in Summer League, so to say. So he got to show out there. He had a great second game compared to what that first game was, and now he gets to go in and get ready for the season.
Just zooming out very quickly, have we seen enough of all of these top picks, these top prospects, or do we have to come to terms with Vegas morphing and Summer League morphing ever more into more of a G League showcase, Tony?
Yeah, Harper's only played once. I'd imagine he'll play again. Edgecombe's weird because he's been hurt and played in different summer leagues. So I think a lot of the best guys, Khan, as you know, Doug, didn't play because of injury. He'll probably play again, right? But it is kind of transforming, and there's such a weird balance with these where like someone like Flagg is obviously going to be playing in the NBA and quite a lot, but like a lot of guys in these teams like fighting for something, right? A two-way, some camp spot. So while it is a G League showcase, like those guys it matters for, and those are the guys that are actually being evaluated. Like, with absolutely no offense to Cooper Flagg, we all know he's good, right? Like if he stunk in these games, no one would have really cared. And so everyone would have loved to see him play, but for lack of a better term, having him air quotes out of the way lets them be like, hey, Ryan Nembhard, go do stuff. This guy, go do things like that. That matters a lot to the Mavs and all these teams, right? The Hornets, the Spurs, the whoever's with their top picks too. So I think finding the right balance of like how much do we want to showcase and try to develop this guy a little bit, while also figuring out like actual stuff that we can get out of Summer League is what these teams are kind of dealing with.
Yeah, you look at teams like the Raptors, for example, like they got James Wade coaching, a guy who, was coaching the WNBA as a head coach and GM, moved over to being the lead assistant there in the Raptors. And you can tell that team's playing with a lot more physicality than a lot of the Summer League teams. But that's because James Wade has something to prove. He's trying to prove that he can coach at this level. So like, I think that, it's turning into more of a G League showcase with it sprinkled in the lottery talent that you can expect and maybe first round picks from the prior year. And I think that's a perfect for what Summer League is like. It's presented by 2K. It's on ESPN now, so you're going to want to see some of those faces. But for the most part, it's going to be mainly guys that are trying to make a roster, trying to make a G League team. And I honestly think the basketball is better for that.
So we haven't seen a lot of the future stars of the NBA at Summer League, but we did see one of the biggest current stars in the NBA, LeBron James, one of a long line of veterans, to show up in Vegas for his team. It also just so happens to be his son's game. He does so amidst a lot of chatter about his future with the Lakers after a long report from ESPN's Ramona Shelburne and Brian Windhorst. Here's Locked On Lakers with why there is so much reported tension between James and the Lakers.
It seems like the idea that not only did LeBron not get his standard 1+1 contract, it was not even offered by the Lakers nor broached, and it was pretty clear it wasn't coming.
Yeah,
I think that's
pretty clear at this point.
I think that's the single biggest factor in what is widely being reported as a growing rift between LeBron and the Lakers.
And I would agree. I think that is the biggest thing, because ultimately LeBron wants the most, both security and control, and that gives him the most. Not, becoming a free agent this offseason offers different forms of control, different things he can do, ways he can leverage it that might make it easier for him to be traded or easier for him to sign somewhere else. It signals to the rest of the NBA that, okay, you know what? Summer of 2026, there's a really good chance LeBron James is available. Like really good. And I think that's ultimately where we're going here.
All right, good stuff from the Kamenetsky brothers of Locked On Lakers. Haize, I throw it to you. Should LeBron James be upset that he didn't get the 1-1 when, this is like he didn't sign the long-term deal. Like that's kind of part of the whole thing.
Yeah, he didn't sign the long-term deal, so that long-term security. And guess what? The Lakers made a seismic shift in the direction of their roster. I think some of the wording that we've heard and things that we've heard come out from LA over the last few days, like, for example, Rob Pelinka is meeting with Luka and his agent with the binder that they usually met with LeBron to go over the future of the team. The fact that the Lakers are kind of finding a more age-appropriate pairing with him for the long term, like it's clear, the writing's on the wall. They're shifting to focusing on Luka. We all should have expected that. That doesn't necessarily mean LeBron doesn't have to be part of that if he's willing to to take on the fact that it's no longer going to be built around him, and that he's not going to be factored in as heavily as what he was before. But that's the way the cookie crumbles. Honestly, the fact that LeBron has been able to maintain as much power and control as he has this late into his career is something to behold already. The Lakers are making a shift, and it's the right one. You want to build around Luka. You have to build that team around Luka, because you also have to convince Luka to stay here in the next couple of years with his contract coming up.
Tony, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that all makes a lot of sense. Like, if LeBron wanted to be somewhere else, he could have opted out, right? So in a lot of ways, it's very clear to me that this is somewhat about money for him, because he opted into a very, very large contract. But now it's also like the part of that report that was most telling to me was the part about how they instructed those players about an ownership change coming up, and how Luka was alerted to it, and he had a tweet ready to go and all that stuff. And I guess LeBron found out early. There was like an edit to the article later, but their first report was like, he didn't even know. But it's like the way that it came through was certainly like, which guy is your priority? Who do you really want to know? How does this shape your future? And to be clear, Luka is better and younger than LeBron right now. Like, they should be building around Luka that way, but it's LeBron James. Like, he is the face of the league to so many people. They have to think about the emotion of that and how that departure might look. And so everybody's kind of playing their best card right now as the Lakers shift to a new era and LeBron shifts to whatever this era of his career is. And so I think it is going to be like they said, kind of friction-y for a little bit, as for the first time in LeBron's career, like, he is not the central figure of his franchise. And like, no one can dispute that. It's the right choice for the Lakers.
Yeah. And this was always going to feel weird when LeBron James didn't hold all the cards, didn't have control of the situation. This was always going to be weird. And now the question is, how do they make it unweird before the season starts? Is it LeBron James playing for another team, or is it them coming together and figuring it out for the season? We will continue to monitor it. But coming up on Locked On NBA, a lot of feelings there between LeBron James, Rob Pelinka, and the Los Angeles Lakers. And summer's for feelings. We should get into our feelings more, and we will, about Jayson Tatum actively recruiting Damian Lillard. How should Jaylen Brown feel about that? We heard from Ja Morant in Vegas about his leadership role with the Memphis Grizzlies. How should Memphis Grizzlies fans feel about that? That's all ahead on Locked On NBA. Today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by Hungry Root. Let's be honest, meal planning, grocery shopping, it can all be overwhelming. Between work, picky eaters, I've got a few of those in my home, and trying to eat healthy, it adds up fast. That's where Hungry Root comes in. They take the stress out of figuring out what's for dinner by filling your cart for you with personalized groceries and easy meal options tailored to your taste. Using Smart Cart technology, Hungry Root recommends groceries, recipes, and even supplements based on your lifestyle, whether you're dairy-free, gluten-free, focused on gut health, or just trying to make smarter food choices. Doesn't matter. Hungry Root is there for you. The thing that I love most about Hungry Root is that there's no more last-minute grocery trips or wasting time wandering the aisles. Hungry Root does the heavy lifting for me so that I can just focus on my day. Take advantage of this exclusive offer. For a limited time, get 40% off your first box plus a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/LockedOnNBA and use code LockedOnNBA. That's hungryroot.com/LockedOnNBA, code LockedOnNBA, to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. More Locked On NBA ahead. Thanks for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. We have a saying over at the Locked On Hornets podcast: summer is for feelings, preseason is for reason. And Vegas is full of the ups and downs and feelings that come with all young players developing and trying to scratch and claw their way into NBA rotations. And we're also getting some news about teams in Vegas from the veterans as well. The Athletic's Sam Amick gave us an update on Joel Embiid this weekend, writing, quote, "League sources tell The Athletic that Embiid still hasn't returned to on-court basketball activities. That said, Daryl Morey and the front office remain optimistic that Embiid will be on the floor for the season opener." Tony East, how should Sixers fans feel about the latest update?
Weird, really weird, right? They're in such a tough spot where clearly McCain is good. Maxey is actually consistent and healthy. They lucked into the third pick. Like, they should be kind of angling for the next era of Sixers basketball, but they can't. They have Joel Embiid injured on their team, and if there's like a 10% chance he's awesome again, you have to try to do something with that as the Sixers. And so the hope would obviously be that he's healthy opening night. But who knows if that's even possible? The last consistent good basketball he played was the Olympics, and he like won them a key game. Don't get me wrong, but they need him to be healthy and ready to go, or else they kind of have to shift eras and make their decisions based around Maxi's timelines and on Embiid's. And by the way, Paul George also on that team, very expensive, right? They're in a really tricky spot where they kind of have to blend. Well, we have to try with these guys because we can't do anything else, but it's probably in their best interest to look a little bit more future focused than they can.
Yeah, I think they've already really kind of started preparing for that future. I think when you look at the Philadelphia 76ers roster, it's in a much better place than what it's been if Embiid's not on the court than it's ever been before. You got Dembana, Andre Drummond to hold down the center position. If need be, Maxey, Quentin Grimes, if they re-sign him, VJ Edgecombe, Jared McCain. Like, they have some really solid players down there in the rotation. I'm not here to say that they'll be top 5 in the Eastern Conference or anything, but I like the talent that they have on this roster. I like the balance, especially with a young player like VJ Edgecombe to be with McCain and Tyrese Maxey and those players there. So I think they've already kind of started and preparing themselves for if Joel Embiid cannot stay healthy, whether we move off of him or not, the roster's starting to trend to a place where we're going to have a solid enough talent base. We just have to keep on adding to it. And I think that's the right decision. I still think they should move Joel Embiid personally. I think this is the time. Well, he's injured now, so you're probably not going to get a lot back for him. But I think that as they keep adding to this roster, it's clear a younger direction is coming. It's just the bigger question is, can Joel Embiid stay healthy enough to help boost that younger generation where they can still be competitive in the East over that time?
All right, let's go to Boston. The Boston Globe's Gary Washburn writes this weekend that Jayson Tatum is actively recruiting Damian Lillard to the Boston Celtics. Tony, how should Jaylen Brown feel about the fellow Jays' wandering eyes?
Hopefully great. You know how you make a gap year a little bit better as the Celtics? How about you get 2 guys to mend the Achilles together with the hope that the year after that, I mean, if it happens to work out that they both recover okay even, they could be awesome. They could be the best team in the East again in 2 years. But you have to commit to Dame now to do that. Because if you're Jaylen Brown, I think you're thinking, man, is this team ever going to be as good as it was when we won the championship again? Now that Tatum's hurt and they've had to shed all this money, Porzingis is gone, Drew Holiday is gone. You know how you get a chance to be that good again is Dame returns to form on your team. I think it's good that if Jayson Tatum and Dame have that kind of relationship and they can leverage it. And to be clear, they're the perfect team to go get Dame because of what this season's already about to look like for the Celtics. Get another guy in for rehab, try to make it happen. Will this coming year stink for Jaylen Brown if 2 of his teammates are out for the year? Oh, yeah, it's going to be awful. But if it maximizes the chances that he wins another title in Boston, I think he should be all for it, even if, again, the next 12 months might not be very fun for him.
I mean, and I think he should really have fun regardless, because you have now this next year to go out there and be the guy. And so there's something in that and showing and reminding yourself that you can be that guy. And yeah, load up, get ready to compete for a title again, because once Jayson Tatum's fully healthy, you want to be able to hit that ground running and be right back there competing for titles. And so this Dame thing, with the Boston Celtics getting under the second tax saver, making the moves that they did, finding cost-effective but good talent should be a focus to them. And guess what? Dame could still absolutely fill it up. I know, the run there with the Bucks has wore off some of the luster on Dame, but let's make no mistake about it. Dame was still a really good basketball player. The fit was just a little bit questionable. So if he's able to make a return and even be 75% of himself after coming back from Achilles injury, they're going to be good. They're going to be really, really good in the Eastern Conference. So Jaylen Brown should be pretty excited about this, in my opinion.
All right, we keep it rolling to Miami. Erik Spoelstra calls out young Heat center Kel'el Ware's effort and professionalism in a Summer League interview. Ware responded positively to the feedback and follow-up and had a great bounce-back game in Vegas. Is Erik Spoelstra trying to reignite the flame and feeling of Heat culture with this call-out, Haize?
I mean, I think Heat culture is still there as long as Spoelstra is there. He is Heat culture. So he's what Spoelstra did is what you should expect from a really great coach. Find a way to motivate a guy that's really talented, really young, but may have some hurdles that you need him to get over to. So the fact that Kel'el Ware responded really well to it, to me, tells me that Erik Spoelstra knows how to motivate his players, which should be no surprise. He's a coach that gets every ounce of talent out of anybody on that roster. So Heat culture is still alive and well. They just has to change a little bit.
What do you think, Tony?
I'm upset when IU players get called out. Don't do this to the Hoosiers. Don't do this to Kel'el Ware. Yeah, he responded great. He looked that like the first 2 Summer League games, he was kind of wandering. He didn't look that great. He was like taking a bunch of fadeaways. He looked awesome in that 3rd game right after that. Never fun. And maybe I'm reading too much into this, but pretty easy to connect the dots of a professionalism call out when they're in Vegas and he's not playing very well. And then after the game, he was asked by, I can't remember which reporter, about his consistency for the coming season and how it's going to be better. And he said, you'll see, it'll be there, basically summarizing. So I think very clearly, given the way he's talked already and the way he played in that game, message received by Kel'el Ware. And that is very much what Spo is good at, is lighting a fire under his guys and making every single player on his team play to their absolute maximum capabilities. And this is step 1. So I was disappointed to see a Hoosier get publicly flamed, but I was happy to see him respond well.
I was listening to the Locked On Heat podcast, and they made the point, like, Erik Spoelstra doesn't do this all the time.
Never.
I think like they mentioned Michael Beasley, and they mentioned Pride of Gastonia, North Carolina, my hometown, Hassan Whiteside, were the other 2 examples. Neither of those instances really worked out well. So like if you're a Heat fan, Tony, how should you feel about Kel'el Ware in particular? Because he was somebody that it felt like the Heat were saying hands off in trade discussions. We don't want to move this guy, and now there are these questions.
Yeah, it's certainly different too. And like, I don't want to say Beasley and Whiteside had like a bad reputation, but like they were veterans who people knew of as like floatier people. Whereas Ware is a 2nd-year player, right, who does not have a rep yet. Like, this is part of establishing who he is to the rest of the league. And he was talented last year. He made all rookie. Like, there's a reason they'd be like, no, we're not trading him. He's good. He fits with Bam. This is a great front court pairing. But to turn around after keeping him out of that talks and be like, yeah, he's got to work on professionalism after he played 2 bad Summer League games. Very telling and revealing of what they think he needs to do next in his career.
Haize.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Kel'el Ware is a player that, they brought him along slowly last year. He went from not really playing at the start of the season to just his role increasing over time. And I think Bam and the Heat should look at him. If he can start at center, that frees up Bam to be at the 4, which makes your team better overall. So the fact that he took well to this says a lot about the character and how much I think he wants to be a great player in this league. And that should always motivate you when young players early in their career take well to criticism.
All right, let us know how you feel on YouTube, youtube.com/@LockedOnNBA, where you can leave your comments. Coming up on the Locked On NBA podcast, we'll get to Ja Morant. He spoke with Locked On Grizzlies host Michael Cole over the weekend and revealed his feelings about the Desmond Bane trade, about the contract for Triple J, and his role as a leader for the Memphis Grizzlies and the Milwaukee Bucks. They make a new addition in their ongoing quest to keep Giannis Antetokounmpo in Milwaukee. We'll talk about all of that ahead on Locked On NBA. Today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by FanDuel. Summer sports, they are in full swing. And whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you get in on the game while your friends are busy getting sunburned at the beach. It's easy to use, it's fast to pay out, and it makes even regular season games feel like must-watch events. Whether you're placing a same-game parlay or watching that bet ride all the way into the 9th inning, FanDuel makes it feel like you are part of the action. And if you're new to FanDuel, I've got good news. New customers can bet just $5, and you get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. That's FanDuel.com/LockedOn. More Locked On NBA ahead. Thanks for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. As I mentioned before that short pause, Ja Morant spoke with Locked On Grizzlies host DeMichael Cole this weekend in Vegas. And on the Desmond Bane trade, he said this, quote, "It's best for both sides. Dez is going to a very talented Orlando team. I feel like he's the piece that they've been missing. On Jaren Jackson's contract, he said he deserves it. That's the heart of Memphis, the heart of this team. He deserves it. I thought it would have been way more, honestly. I don't understand the cap stuff." He also talked about wanting to be a leader on the team. Tony, how should the Grizzlies feel about Ja's buy-in with the many moves the Grizzlies made this summer?
They kind of need his buy-in. It's not that they're in a bad spot. Like everybody agreed, like you get that offer for Bane, you should take it. No doubt it was a good trade for the Grizzlies. but they're definitely going to be worse, right? They don't have Desmond Bane on their team next season, and they kept Jaren. That's great. They still have John Morant. They'll be good at basketball, but how does that feel? Like when you go into a year, you were just snuck into the playoffs, right? They had to win the final playing game to be the 8th seed, and now you're going to be worse, right? Don't get me wrong. They have a new coach. Like maybe they'll find ways to be better. Again, Josh talented. Jaren's great, but having his buy-in and his understanding of the plan is critical because eventually they can add another marquee player because they have all these picks and they have young talent on their team. But in the exact interim right now, because of all this cap stuff that the Grizzlies, I think, smartly did, they're in a better long-term position. They will be a worse team. So having him at least excited about a leadership role and ready for whatever the next challenge is in Memphis is pretty important given their current situation.
Yeah, he should be excited. And the Memphis fans should be excited about this new phase of the team. Like, of course, you want a Ja who is locked in, who is has that chip back on their shoulder and feels like they have something to prove. And when you put Ja in that situation, usually he's always gonna swim more than he sinks. So to have JJJ locked in is really good. I even think of what they got back, not only with the picks, but you got Cedric Howard there, who if you're looking for a long-term Desmond Bane replacement, Cedric Howard offers a lot of that with really good defense, catch and shoot ability. You got KCP to be in there for now, so they still should be in a really good place with their roster. And as these players develop, as Cedric Howard and maybe Zach Edey take another step to their game, you're still going to be a really tough team in the Western Conference. But if you get JJJ and Ja to continue their progression and take another step in their game as well, a refinement in their game, you're right there. So hearing that Ja's excited, that he's welcoming the challenge is really good because you got some good players on this team. You got to go out there and figure it out.
So he was a little bit more talkative with DeMichael Cole than he was in a sideline interview that he did with Dave McMenamin on ESPN, where McMenamin was asking him, are you already in the lab? Are you back at it? Are you already in the lab? And he said, yes, I'm already in the lab. And I could just see the Memphis front office going, yes, good, great, that's great. And then McMenamin said, and you're ready to get back to the Ja Morant of old. And he said, yeah, for sure. And I could see them going, no, wait, hold on. That's not what we're talking about.
The basketball player bowl. The basketball player bowl. Cam Spencer
Exactly.
balling out in a summer league, getting a new contract as we're talking. Perfect timing on the Memphis discussion. See, this is what Memphis is good at, is turning these little end of bench guys into gold, right? That's another reason to feel confident if you're Ja Morant.
All right, let's see how confident you feel about the Milwaukee Bucks. Magic point guard Cole Anthony is expected to be bought out and signed with the Milwaukee Bucks. Here's Locked On Bucks with their reaction.
There's a lot of duplicative parts to the games of Kevin Porter Jr. and Cole Anthony. I think KPJ's talent is certainly higher, but I think that's the ideal role for Cole Anthony. We talked about him being a bucket, that he's the guy that can kind of jump charge your offense in the half court. When you have Giannis off the floor, you just need some baskets here. That's where Cole Anthony comes in for you. So I do kind of think this means you're starting five. We know four of them, I would say, in Kevin Porter Jr., Giannis, Miles Turner, and Gary Trent Jr. I'm still not quite sure about the three spot, which we'll get to when we now start to take a look at the makeup of this roster. But I think the big thing is, you touched on the Bucks finding value the past couple of years for these minimum contracts. And to be fair, the Bucks aren't the only team doing so. We've talked about before this new CBA and how it's put a really big squeeze on the middle class. That's only going to continue.
All right, Haize, we'll start with you. Thoughts on the Bucks adding Cole Anthony and what they've been able to accomplish creatively under the weight of the current CBA?
Cole Anthony is a solid pickup for them. I mean, Cole Anthony, who I think before last year, he's always averaged double-digit points. He can be a solid player for you, and even if there is a little overlap in skill set between him and KPJ, that actually could be good. You're able to replicate a lot of the same things to keep up the style of play. As far as what the Bucks have done, as far as creatively, I love it. They're in a position where they got to show they are willing to do whatever it takes to make their team better. And for what it's worth, I think that they've shown that. Now, how good that team is good enough to get Giannis's buy-in to stay. I think Giannis is always going to hold that power of let's wait and see what we're doing. But for the Milwaukee Bucks side of it, they've done as good a job as you would expect considering the situations and the cap limitations and everything that they were under heading into their offseason. They got very creative. Getting Miles Turner is a hugely creative move that not a lot of teams would be willing to waive and stretch Dame at that money. They did that. They brought in a better player in Miles Turner. So I give the Bucks a lot of credit for what they've been and how aggressive they've been at overhauling that roster as much as possible.
It was their only cap move they could do was the stretch, and they did it. And then it's just minimums and keeping your own guys. So to be able to get a Cole Anthony is really nice for them, I think. Like, I think they're right that he's a little skill set duplicative with KPJ, but if they're not playing together, who cares, right? That means you always have that kind of player on the floor if you're the Bucks. And I think Cole Anthony's going to have this kind of progression with the Bucks. Every game will be like 5 points, 6 points, 5 points, 23 points, 6, 7, 6, 24. Like, that's just who he is. And he's a good rebounder too, which might matter for that team. Like, Turner and Portis are good players, but that's not their strengths in the front court. So I like that fit quite a bit. And he should be a rotation player in the NBA. That's good business to be able to get him on a minimum. And that's what they, like they said, they've been good at with all these Trent, Porter, Anthony signings over the years, is getting in a player on the minimum, figuring out their fit, and then finding a way to keep them. They've been good at that these last couple of years, and it's the reason they've been able to kind of stay afloat with limited flexibility. Even though I disagree with a lot of people about the way the middle class is trending in the CBA, the Bucks have done a good job.
Okay, why do you disagree?
Oh, I think it's the same as it's always been. I think the only factor that's changed for things is more so about the growth of the salary cap the year before this one and next year, more so than anything related to the new CBA. It's always kind of been like this.
Interesting. All right, we return finally to Summer League, and Tony, I believe you were in Vegas. Have you returned? Are you done with Vegas? Are you still in Vegas?
Yes, 100-hour speed run of Vegas complete for Tony East.
All right. Well, so with all the caveats that it is just Summer League, Tony, you were there. What performances stood out to you as like, oh, that could be something, and which performances stood out to you that maybe concerned you a little bit?
Carter Bryant was my oh my gosh, player where he just, no matter who on the Mavs was in front of him, he stopped them, he shut them down. They had no chance. They couldn't do anything. It was awesome. And like he walked out of that game, I think it was the first half of that game, he had 2 points. And I was like, oh, he was the best player. Like I just walked out of the gym thinking he was the best player in that game because his defense was that good. They're going to need him to score more than that and make shots at some point in the pros, but he was definitely the guy that I think rose above my expectations the most. I was a little sad about Doug, unfortunately. It's only one game, but I really liked him coming into the draft. A 4-point performance was not exciting. There were a lot of like late lotto guys that were just like, yeah, that's it. Like that's what you showed with lots of chances to touch the ball. I'm trying to think if anybody truly stunk that was like concerningly bad. I don't know if anybody was just awful. Flagg's first game, honestly, he missed so many shots that I was like, wait, he's got to make some of these. But Carter Bryant was certainly in my high-end standout of like, okay, this is my new favorite player. I'm obsessed with him.
Haize.
Carter Bryant, definitely. Like Carter Bryant, and we talked a little bit about that before we started recording, like the defense that he's able to play. Like, not that I have any envy. I don't do that over Summer League, but like he was one of the guys that was high on my list. He's had a great Summer League. And while the Bulls drafted Noah Essengay, I was going to think about what it would have been like if we drafted Carter Bryant. Outside of him, I think Cooper Flagg's game was great. He's the guy that really stood out to me in that second game, even though, he only got to play 2 games. And then I'll say Juan Behringer as well is another guy that really stood out to me so far in Summer League.
Young Hansen too. Yeah. The passing as advertised. That was really fun. I've enjoyed his interpreter explaining that his favorite songs are like "What the Helly" and all that, as he can't say it in English. It's a good time watching him play too. Exactly as everybody said he could be.
Yeah, what's your evaluation process when you go into Summer League, Tony? I mean, are you looking to confirm things? Are you looking to see like who doesn't belong? Where's your head at when it comes to Summer League evaluation?
Honestly, to me, because like we've already talked about, it is more showcasey than anything. I kind of just want to know like what skills do you have? Like what are you doing that makes you better than everybody else? So like with Hansen, it was the passing. With Bryant, it was the defense. With Bernier, it was like, oh, he's blocking every shot. Like he can step across the block and just swat a drive. Like, even if it's not a guarantee that these things translate to the pros. I remember Chris Dunn, like, balling at Summer League a few years ago. And I was like, oh, this guy's going to be awesome. And then he couldn't score at all. You just never know. But that's kind of what I think is important. It's not about, like, if they look like the best player, they're dominating. It's what individual skills pop up, especially for those second-year and third-year players. Are they doing something new? Are they doing something you've never seen them do before? Is this possibly what's next for their projection? I always find that interesting. Like watching Jalen Tyson with the Cavs, I was like, oh, this guy knows ripping shots off the dribble. That might be a big deal for the Cavs. He might have to play for them in their second apron situation, right? Like that kind of stuff always really stands out to me too.
All right, that's Tony East. He's sitting in for Matt Moore today. Matt Moore will be back next week. Thank you to Tony for sharing his expertise today. Thanks to Haize for his expertise every day. If you like what you heard today, subscribe to Locked On NBA wherever you get podcasts, including on YouTube. Thank you for making Locked On NBA your first listen. Make your second listen Locked On NBA Game Night, where you can also hear Tony East. It's every Summer League game every night, and it's on this feed on YouTube or wherever you get podcasts. Enjoy tonight's Summer League action. Be kind to each other, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow on Locked On NBA.